We are back with another Tea and Tights special with one of the top young wrestlers in the UK right now, training out of the Knuckle Lock School of Wrestling. He recently made his Progress debut on the WWE Network, but has also competed for the IPW, DNA Pro Wrestling, Attack Pro Wrestling. He competed in the final ever Schaudenfreude and Friends show. He is currently the Rumble Wrestling's Promotions All Nations Champion. Tateness is greatness. Our guest is Tate Mayfairs. How are you?
Woo! What a rundown, my son. Yes, I am very, very well. Thank you very much for having me on. It's a pleasure to be here, guys.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And of course, we are Tea and Tights, a Great British Wrestling podcast for Great British Wrestling, as featured on bodyslam.net, as brought to you by Powered 4 TV. I am your host, the Great British Otaku, Mr. Andrew Moore, and E2 Most, and my co-host is with me as always. He is the Pro Wrestling T-shirt champion of the world, Big Daddy Dan, Daniel Allen. How are we doing?
We are very good, thank you. Wearing our Progress T-shirt in honour of our guest this evening. Thank you very much for joining us, Mr. Mayfairs.
Hey, my pleasure, man. What an original tee there. Great stuff.
Oh yeah, old school.
Love it.
Excellent. And of course, you just made your Progress Network debut this past weekend against Big Guns Joe. How was that?
Big Guns Jabroni. It was great. It was really cool. I've had you mentioned the distinction there of it being the network and the main show debut. I've had two dark matches, pre-show matches, whatever you call it, for Progress at the Electric Ballroom. But this was the first one on the network, on the main show. And it felt good to be there. It felt, I was very, very happy to be there. I've been at every single Progress show, working backstage in many capacities. But this time I was able to be front of stage on the network, showing the world why Tateness is greatness.
Excellent. And it was a great match indeed against Big Guns Joe, but it was a submission, so it doesn't count.
Exactly. I appreciate that you follow the logic there, you know.
Well, I can see that. You know, you beat a man by pinning his shoulders to the mat or knocking him out.
Exactly that. All that matters is that when you look at the stats at the end of the day, Big Guns Joe failed to pin me or knock me out. So, you know, he has not beat me in my eyes. But all of that aside, it was a pleasure to work with Joe. He's another guy who is just an incredibly hardworking guy, a decent human being. You know, the pair of us have been compared to each other backstage by the likes of, you mentioned the Schaudenfreude thing, by the likes of Chris Brooks, etc. They say that you know, Big Guns Joe is the Tate Mayfairs of the North, and vice versa, for the amount of work that we put into our craft in making sure that we continue to get better, and we also make sure that, you know, that shows are put together. You know, people are taking the shows, all the production is put together, and they go ahead the best they can. So from that perspective, it was good to share that with him on the network as well.
And it's quite a debut to have, because he's been quite a major star as part of Progress since his return. He's been involved. He was in the Natural Progression Series,
yep,
Tag Team Championships, and involved in quite a lot of big storylines. So quite a big debut.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, Joe has done phenomenal. He's had a great year. He was already, you know, rising, and then, you know, what a weird year we all had, especially in wrestling, to do these lockdown tapings. And yeah, he had the opportunity to be in the NPS, the Natural Progression, and he took it and he ran with it, and he was on pretty much, if not every chapter, then he was on most chapters from the beginning of the year until his match with me, where he failed to knock me out or pin me.
So I've got to ask, was this your first time in front of an empty arena? Because this was, again, with Progress at the moment, they're one of the few companies that hasn't brought back fans yet.
Yes, yeah, good question, man. It was my first show in front of an empty arena. I was training throughout the year, and obviously there was no people there when I was training, and there never is when you're training. So I kind of I watched the product that was being put together by multiple different companies, and I saw what I liked and what I thought worked and didn't work, and I tried to I gave that a lot of consideration in the training I was doing leading up to it, and yeah, and applied it. It's a different beast. Is the audience aren't there with you as that they're such a participant. They're such a large participant in a pro wrestling match, and so you've got to approach it in a different way. You've got to feel space and feel noise in a different way, and perform differently. And I think I did well. I was quite happy. I'd like to do more, but I'm also glad that I've been wrestling in front of big crowds again. So
We were chatting with Chris Hatch a little while ago, and
yes,
he was saying that even as a referee, it was very odd being in a quiet arena during the match.
who would have thought it? Who would have thought it? I think it's going to be really interesting. You know, throughout the annals of like wrestling history now, like there's never been this, has there?
No.
So, you know, maybe even in 100 years, you could look back and go, oh, there was this like year where there was all of these matches in front of no one at all. And that might be a really interesting thing to go back and watch. But as a wrestler from the future, to tape study this time period is going to be quite interesting, I think.
Never even thought of that. You're so right.
So, you know, Tate Mayfairs versus Big Guns Joe will live forever.
It
Definitely.
will. Now, you said you made, obviously, your Progress Dark debuts actually a couple of years prior, and one of which of them was against the current NXT UK Tag Team Champions.
Yes, boy.
My favorite team, Pretty Deadly.
Absolutely.
But
I love those boys, man. They are great. They're just it, innit? They are. I remember they were both doing their own thing, and then it was pitched that you know, maybe you guys could be a thing, and they were both not so sure. You know, we weren't particularly like close friends, you know, prior to this, and when they got together, it was a match made in heaven, as they say, and that was their Progress debut. Was the match against myself in that tag match, and yes, I'm glad to be a part of that. And you know, we've just been talking about my Progress match on the network that's just aired, and both the lads, you know, shared it online and gave a shout out to me, and Lewis Howley shouted out Tateness's greatness because everybody knows it as a guaranteed fact.
of course, Sam Stoker had a different name at the time. Shall we remind the audiences of Sam Stoker's original name?
Sammy Smooth with the extra O's.
Was that his own creation, or was that something put on him?
I don't know the origins, but we all got to break a few eggs, right, to find an omelette. You know, we we try things out. We get there.
Well, judging by how well he did in that little tape bit they did on NXT UK the other day with those guys at the Magic Mike tapings, that was brilliant. Absolutely fantastic. Absolutely loved it.
I was talking about that with them recently. They were saying, I think Sam came down really hard on his hand. He wasn't expecting. It's the first bit where they go up and then they come down into like this backward press up thing, and yeah, I think he might have bumped himself quite hard on that one. But
oh, that'd be an embarrassing one to admit. How are you off injured? Well.
Yeah. All this wrestling stuff is fine, but doing the Magic Mike thing, that could hurt you. That could really seriously injure you.
Now, of course, the truth of the matter is you actually made your WWE Network debut previously.
That's true.
Tell us about that.
Well, I assume, are you talking about the training segment with Walter?
That's the one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was cool. I got a message saying, "What are you doing this day?" And obviously I was free. It all just kind of sprung out of nowhere. And yeah, it was an honor to be a part of it. I basically came down. I bought some training gear, and we sat in. We got there early, and one of the coolest things I've done is we got to the WWE PC. I get in there, and Shawn Michaels is there doing tape study, match review of the last week's taping. And so you got half the NXT UK roster there. I'm there, all the extras are there, and then Shawn Michaels at the front just watching. I think it was Nina and Isla Dawn's match, I want to say. And he's just breaking it down and like talking about things in such an in-depth way that you know, Shawn Michaels talking about how to do TV professional wrestling. It was gold. It was so cool. Eddie Dennis spotted me and was like, "Oh, Tate," and he didn't realize that Shawn Michaels was in the middle of talking about everything. So it was kind of I don't want to draw too much attention to myself. Yeah, mate. But then we went on into the building and we filmed it. It was a few takes, and it was great. They've got a fantastic facility there. It's incredible. I look forward to training there in the future at some point if I get the opportunity to. And yeah, Walter, I've worked alongside him, let's say, with the Progress shows prior to this. So again, it was cool to actually film something and be in a segment with him. I'm glad I wasn't the guy getting chopped. I just
did you get a shot?
I think it was Spike. I think it was Spike Gervais. Yeah. Oh. And every time they were like, "Can we run that back one more time?" I think you know, you felt for the guy.
Walter is a big old unit, isn't he?
He is. Yeah, he's a big boy. For sure.
I look forward to
I'll still take him down.
Yeah.
I will stop his legs and I will knee him in the jaw and he will go down. There's no doubt about it.
You can say that while he's now off to America and SmackDown, can't you?
Hey, bring him here. I'll say it again. Don't matter what you see on that tape in that segment. I was backing away to make him, you know, I didn't want to embarrass him at the training center.
You need to get the size in perspective.
Yeah.
You need to make sure the size was in perspective so that he looked good. So you needed to not, you know, overtake the size of him by moving.
That's it, mate. Like I was pulling my shoulders in and I was actually bending at the knees to like look a bit like lower than him, a bit shorter than him. I was really trying to help the boy out, you know. So
well, I've got some connections with Progress Management. We could try and get this arranged for you if you like.
Hey, I would lap it up. I would love it.
You've faced some big boys before that, haven't you? Amongst Pretty Deadly, because they're not small boys either. Shah Samuels, who's currently with NXT.
Yes. Yeah, Shah, absolutely. So I don't know if you know, but I was in wrestling before. I started when I was 14, did it for 4 or 5 years, and then I went off, did music for a bit, and then I came back to wrestling. In this previous incarnation of being in wrestling, I sat under the learning tree of a man called Barry Sharalumbus, who ran SAS Wrestling, taught many great people, responsible for, like, you know, teaching Rockstar Spud, Drake Maverick, many things, who I also got to train alongside. Shah Samuels was one of those people that also learned off of Barry and was booked at SAS. And at those shows, I would occasionally set up the merch stand and sell the merch for Terry Frazier and Shah Samuels, the Cartel. And it obviously meant something to me as a young kid. But when I eventually saw Shah this time round, it was at this IPW 15th anniversary show, and I was booked against him. And I was like, you know, I'd seen him here and there at a couple of shows, but this time I was, you know, going to have a proper conversation because we're working together. I was like, "Oh, Shah, do you remember back in the day when I used to set up them? And he was like, nah.
Oh.
I was crushed. I was crushed.
But you got the win in the match.
But luckily, you know, I won the guy's respect, I think. We started the match off. I attacked him from behind. He gives me a few shots. He whips me to the ropes. And for some reason, because I'm such a heavyweight or something like that, but the rope snapped within 10 seconds of the match. He punches me, whips me to the rope snaps. I go backflip out the ring. And now we've got to just, whatever we've decided we're going to do before is out the window. We got to go again. Yeah, luckily I was trained how to run the ropes right. So I landed safe. And me and him just worked on the fly. And yeah, I beat the big man at IPW 15. Clean, in the middle of the ring. No cheating. Go back and watch it. It's on my YouTube channel. Clean as a whistle. Finisher. Boom. Twist the lemon. Have it. See you later, Shah.
Was that at Milton Keynes at Unit 9?
It was not. It was at Maidenhead.
The other one they do, yeah. I've just bought a season ticket for Unit 9. I am looking forward to going to a load of their shows this year.
Oh, enjoy it. They have significantly made that venue a lot better than the last time I wrestled there. It looks really good now.
Yeah, you can check that out with the Fight Nation Wrestling, which is currently on Power 4 TV.
Indeed.
Nice little plug. You getting paid for that?
We get a little cutback.
Yeah, I like it. I like it. Yeah, last time I wrestled there, it was awful. It was a building site. I mean, I'm sure people have got loads of stories about that, but yeah, now it looks beautiful, at least in the photos. So I look forward to wrestling there in the future.
It looks great, and the sound system and the lights are just unreal. You feel like you're in a gigantic arena, not a small club. It's great.
Oh, yeah,
Right.
I must go.
We literally just had the author from the British Bulldogs, upcoming book Dynamite and Davey, The Explosive Life of the British Bulldogs. One of the things that we discussed with him was the fact that Americans never seem to understand that UK start training at the age of 14. And it's just something they can never seem to get their heads around.
You would think that America's the more Wild West out of the two of us, like that it would be more sort of controlled there. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, it is still kind of the same, isn't it? I think a lot of schools now say, you know, they have to be at least 16 or something, but certainly when I started, it was really, really the Wild West, you know. But I'm very glad that I did, because I was obsessed with it, and I was a natural. So I'm glad I took to it early, and it's helped me out in later life as well. So
who were you obsessed with at the time then?
Come on. Well, I love Eddie Guerrero. I was quite feeling on and Rey Mysterio, Jeff Hardy, and The Rock. Man, I wanted to be The Rock big time.
I wanted to be The Rock.
Yeah.
Just incredible. Let's talk about your Rumble Wrestling Promotions run, as you are the current All Nations champion right now.
That's true. Former Big Daddy champ. Don't know if you've seen. Yeah, but yes, I am. It's been good. I think Steve, I was just saying it before, wasn't I? That I think he's doing something right. We've run lots of shows since coming back. Since live shows coming back this year, a lot of places have been slow to get going, or they've done a couple, whatever. I've lost count of the amount of shows we've done. I mean, we ran every weekend through October, a couple of times a week. Just several shows a month, and drawing well. I recall a couple of shows. I was saying Gillingham. I think maybe the other one was Sit. I don't listen to the towns, mate. I just turn up and beat people up. But beginning with S, I think it's Manelli's hometown. But either way, it was 400 400 capacity people in attendance on these, and the other ones are drawing well as well. So
Manelli's a third generation. Star,
he's the
isn't he?
Randy Orton of the UK.
Yeah.
He is.
Except a bit slimmer.
I'm sure Randy started out quite small.
Randall, yeah. He was quite slim. I've seen the photos before. But yeah, Manelli, believe it or not, yeah, third generation. Yeah. I have wrestled him again countless times this past year. So
I've seen you wrestle him twice live and thoroughly enjoyed both times.
Oh, great.
Yeah, it was. I mentioned it very positively both times I came along, and it was nice because last time I went to Rumble Wrestling, it was the Mal Mason Championship that was on the line with Nino Bryant and Maverick Mayhew, as well as yourself and Sid in the match. But there were 3 old school British wrestlers there. There was Tony Scarlo,
yes,
Bill Beanie, and Carl Hines.
Yeah,
that were all there as the judges. It must have been nice to have some of those old World of Sport guys there as well.
Man, I tell you what, this is one of the things I really, really love the most about those shows. This one's and Premier Promotions, ran by John Fremantle, another just long time British wrestling promotion. Is the old boys do come to these. Also, actually, I'd shout out to James Mason ran a show. He wasn't actually there because he was filming stuff for NXT UK, but I think he organised it, whatever. And Mal Saunders was backstage. This stuff, it means a lot to me because, you know, the history of British wrestling is so rich and strong. And these guys, man, they really were very special. And I feel like a lot of that has been lost a little bit with, you know, the rise of American wrestling, like just how big it's been and success it's been, and the fact that the UK stuff fell off the TV and the files of it have kind of been stored away. But anyway, the point is I love being at these shows and getting to pull aside these boys and have chats with them about these about their stories and about their insight on the business. And I just feel like there's some sort of, the connection is frayed, but I feel good that there is still some kind of connection between the old and the new of British pro wrestling. And I make a real point of going out of my way to speak to these guys at length and get as much information and just good times, just to have a good time with these people, so that there is a it's not 1 and 2, it's a connecting part of British professional wrestling.
No, I love the new generation of British wrestlers because you see a lot of the guys that they are so into doing their tape reviews and watching old school WOS wrestling and learning from that. And you can see it in a lot of guys' work and the way it's been blended with the American style or even lucha style and Japanese strong style. But it all comes from British wrestling.
Yeah, man, it's great stuff. It's it's great. I wish we did more. I think it's cool that they're doing the Heritage Cup at NXT UK. I think it'd be cool. It'd be cool for more of that in the UK. I think there's definitely room for it. I mean, Fremantle's doing it, the rounds matches. Not really many other people. Purpose, I think, or was it Soul before? But anyway, I think there's room for more of it. It'd be cool.
Rumble have got a couple of rounds matches coming up with Nino versus Danny Black, one of our favourites, and then the winner of that going on against Maverick again. Do you think this is something that you could then try and get a Triple Crown going?
I don't know what the weight class categories are, but I have wrestled Nino at extent, and I love getting in the ring when he's a fantastic talent, man. The world is his oyster. He's not only incredibly talented in the ring, incredibly dedicated, but like his family are a good family and they're fully behind him. And his head is screwed on right outside of wrestling. You know, he doesn't get
messy.
Yes. He doesn't drink. I don't know if he wants people to know that or anything like that. I think there's a lot of like people in the younger generation that are this way inclined. They're more focused on their goals and their health. And yeah, man, the world is his oyster. He's an incredible wrestler, and he's young, and he's yeah, the world is his oyster. And I've really enjoyed being able to get in there with him and work matches with him. And yes, I'd love to do a rounds match with him. It's the short answer. I don't know if I can challenge for that title, but I would always love, if I could have 3 belts on me, you bet I will go for it. I will diet. I will do what is ever necessary to make sure I carry as much gold on me as possible, as you can tell.
Well, the belt collector's out injured at the moment, so somebody is in need to take that gimmick on.
Hey, someone's got to do the job. You know what I mean? Someone's got to. And talking about rounds matches quickly is actually, here's a plug for you. December 12th, I don't know when this goes out, but December 12th, I'll be in Harwich in Essex at the Kingsway Hall for SOS Wrestling. And I'll be facing a guy called Richie, who holds the title there, in a British rounds match. 6 rounds, 6 3-minute rounds. So
nice.
Excellent. Get yourself down there if you can. Now, of course, Nino Bryant's opponent on the 27th for Rumble will be Progress Wrestling star Danny Black at the moment. So what have you made of his progress run so far? And
of his progress? Yeah, mate, fantastic. What a meteoric rise. Like he was, I've trained with him a bunch prior to the lockdown. It's like a night and day thing, isn't it? And he was getting out on shows and he was doing well, and then bang, he came into the MPS, and again, like big guns, he has been on pretty much every chapter, or he's been at every taping, and I know that because I've been at all of them as well. And he's had great matches, and from there it's just catapulted him to another level. He's gaining confidence, and he's getting bigger, and he's getting better. And I don't know. I may have wrestled him in like a multi-man, but I have not wrestled him one-on-one, and I look forward to that.
I think there's a progress match in the making there.
Hey, yeah. Well, first I've got to knock Big Guns Joe out. I need to avenge that, and then I'll be Then I'll definitely take. Do you know what I would like to do? Here's a pitch for you. I should have been in the MPS tournament. Everyone knows it. It's a guarantee. It should have been me. But all these other kids get this shot for whatever reason. I don't know what kind of smoke they were blowing up people, but I should have been there. And all these cats did there, they got this shotgun rise, this absolute catapult rise. So what I would like to do is I'd like to go in and one by one, I will take out and de-roster, remove from the roster every single person who went into that MPS tournament and has had consistent booking at Progress ever since, because you took my spot. That was my spot, so I will take it off of you. Big Guns Joe, I'm going to take you first. I will take you out. I will avenge the loss because you can't beat me like a man. Then I'll take Danny Black, since we started there, and I will go down the list until they are all on the injury list. And the only person left to challenge for the title is yours truly, the greatest professional wrestler to ever walk planet Earth. Google it yourself, because you will see my image as the first thing. Tate Mayfairs.
It's true, but there was Luke Jacobs and Warren Banks to worry about in that tournament. And they are some big boys.
Hey, listen, they are big boys. And they are great wrestlers. I will give them that. I would love to again wrestle them. I've trained with Warren. I have not wrestled him one-on-one on a show. And Luke, I have watched him. I have studied him. I have not wrestled him, and I would like to. Any of those Northwest Strong guys. Strong, that's it, yeah. I would love to get in the mix with them. They're growing by the number as well. I saw they recently Rio is a new member, right?
Yep, Rio has just joined Northwest Strong alongside Joe Kessler, Scott Oberman, and there's one more. Keenan Krishna.
Oh, yes, Keenan, yeah. God, it's like the NWO, isn't it? They're taking over. even still, as another run through the list, I would like to then also, after I take out all of the 2021 NPS tournament entries, I would then like to run through Northwest Strong and remove them from the Northwest and send them down to the Southeast, where the best professional wrestler in the world lives.
You heard it here, folks. Let's talk about modern Tuesday Night Graps.
Yeah, absolutely.
You were at the last ever Tuesday Night Graps. Well, up until yesterday, the last ever Tuesday Night Graps as part of Schaudenfreude and Friends. How did that all come about then?
I work hard, as I mentioned before, with the me and Big Guns Joe, how we work hard, very hard behind the scenes in the industry, and I believe it came out of the fact that Brooksy put out a tweet saying like, who's like a unsung hero, or like who's like going to be a breakthrough star, or whatever it was, and it kind of someone chucked out my name, and a lot of people just jumped on it and had a day of, you know, putting me over online, which was, mate, it means a lot. It feels very good to have the respect to your peers and to be spoken that way by people, whatever. Like, maybe to other people it was just a passing thing. It was just like yeah, I agree with that, I would say that, whatever. But for me, it was very cool to get that acknowledgement. And Brooks was one who also did say that as well and put me over, and just online, whatever, it's not a big deal. But the point is, I think off of the back of that is I'd been helping out at the one or two of the previous Schaudenfreude and Friends shows, and this one they were like, yeah, we want to give you something, so they did. So I went out there and I had a match with Chris Brooks, and I decided to give the man a gift. The gift of Tate Mayfairs. I gave him a gloss print A4 signed Tate Mayfairs A4 poster,
which are available at tatemayfairs.com for the very reasonable price of just £10.
Hey, my man. Absolutely, that's it. And along with 2 fantastic different t-shirt designs, so do check them out. Yeah, so that's how that came about.
Are you looking forward to being part of the roster in the coming future for Tuesday Night Graps then?
Yeah, I would love to, man. I wasn't at the one yesterday, but it was not possible for me to be able to be there. But I would love to be a part of that again. They're such fun shows. Have you guys been to them live?
I've not, but Manchester's not too far on the train for me, and since it's Tuesday night, hotels will be about 30 quid, so I'm thinking I'm gonna have to pop down there after I get married, though, because I'm only allowed one more show before I get married.
Oh man, congratulations.
Thank you. We've had, because of the COVID, we've literally been delaying for like almost 3 years now. We've had to cancel it twice. So finally next year, fingers crossed, it'll all go well.
I'm hoping for you, man. I've had other friends who have had weddings, you know, and stuff called off because of it. It's such an expensive thing to be stop and start with, and you know, it involves so many other people as well. But yeah, I trust that all these things will end up better in the end because of the way, you know, sometimes it's just that way. But congratulations with that, man. And yeah, if she's put up with you, if they've put up with you going to all these wrestling shows so far, they're obviously a great person, and it'll be good to. It will get harder, I'm sure, but you will make the most of the wrestling shows that you're able to get out to.
She's awesome. She does join me on a lot of them. She does like wrestling. She's not the huge fan, but she does enjoy going. We watched Crash Boat last time out. She loves Crash Boat. So who were at the Frog and Bucket last night. Actually, Jack Bandicoot was, and so was, I wasn't going to bring him up, but it was Big Guns Joe. He was there.
Oh, I hate that guy.
So-
I bet he didn't knock anyone out, did he?
No, not that I'm aware of. He was part of the tag team scramble treasure hunt that I didn't quite
Frog
understand the
versus
rules
Bucket.
for.
Of course.
I saw him.
That's the thing, man. There's such fun shows. It's like, a bunch of mates running a show, a bunch of wrestlers running a show, and just doing what they think is fun.
I still want to find footage of the Inflatables match.
Yes, the show that you were at.
Yeah. Is it Aaliyah in the shark outfit?
It is.
And it was, oh god, they've had a match where you had to keep the balloon up in the air. I remember there was a match with Big Guns, who fails to knock anyone out, versus Curtis Chapman. And at one point the idea was to force Big Guns to eat this whole loaf of bread. But the thing is with Big Guns, he lives the gimmick, man. Like when we turn up at shows, he comes with his bag for life, or 2 bag for lives of food and a pair of scales, and he gets the scales out and he weighs his food milligram for milligram to make sure he hits his micronutrients bang on at the right time. He does live it, and you got to give the guy props for it. This is true. But of course, bread, I think it was white bread as well, was just packed full of useless carbs. He was not happy, but I think he was not on a bulk. I think whatever, it completely ruined his diet that day. He had to eat a whole loaf of bread against his will.
I love it. I'm 19 stone, and it sure as hell isn't because I've been watching my macros.
Yeah, I remember backstage as well. He couldn't get through it quick enough, and I think Brooksy was like, just force him to eat it. Can we just get through this bit? And it was just taking forever for him to eat this fucking loaf of bread. But anyway,
he got his
along
revenge
with many
last
other
night.
things, Hell in a Cellophane and all kinds of stuff. It's good stuff.
Oh, yes, I definitely have to get out to see one of these. The clip I did see was of Big Guns Joe delivering a frog splash in a frog costume to Mad Kurt.
There you go.
Anyone jumping on Mad Kurt's good. So one of the questions we ask everyone that comes on here is to give us their Mount Rushton, because in America they have Mount Rushmore of their professional wrestlers. I think The Rock just announced his Mount Rushmore a couple of days ago.
Was it?
But we've got something.
Was it Tate Mayfairs? Tate Mayfairs, and Tate Mayfairs.
Unfortunately, I'm not sure. I'll have to double check. It's possible though. It is possible because at the moment I've not seen it, so it's quite possible. But we have Mount Rushton because we like to know what people think of their British wrestling icons. So, who would you have, past, present, etc., on your Mount Rushton of British wrestlers?
I think number one, Rollerball Rocco is actually one of my all-time favorites. Professional wrestling worldwide. So he is most definitely on there. You smile. I see a big smile there, so I can tell you're a big fan.
Great pick. Black Tiger.
So I don't know, somehow, so I'd mentioned before Eddie Guerrero as being one of my favorites as well. I think it's interesting. There's something about that Black Tiger persona that both wrestlers are fantastic. In another world, I don't know if that will happen, but yeah, if I went to Japan and there was, I'd push to be a Black Tiger because of that history is so important to me. Such my biggest inspirations in those two. The way they work, the pair of them, it's quite interesting. So I'm going on a tangent now, but the way that the both of them work, you'll see they're kind of on their toes and they're hunched and they have their hands forward like this. If you watch my matches, I am the same. I think it's a good way to be in the ring, always on the always prowling and ready to pounce like a angry tiger. They both like a black tiger. There you go. They both emulate this. But anyway, the point is, yes, Rollerball Rocco. I never met him. I'm gutted about that. I met many of the wrestling legends from the UK, but I've never met him or trained under him. But I've studied his tape ad nauseum, and I'm a big fan of Rollerball Rocco.
Great choice.
Number two, same. So I'll do two old and two new, if in a way.
Yeah, it's all good.
Is Dynamite Kid, man. Like, he completely revolutionized, wrestling worldwide. Tragic things happened also because of that, but bell to bell in the ring, he was phenomenal. He was phenomenal. Some of my favorite matches, I can never forget the first time I saw Dynamite Kid and Tiger Mask. Obviously, I wasn't alive when they happened, but when I first saw the tape of it, it was like, if you go from watching WWE and then you see this, you're like, wow, I needed to do this. This is super cool. And you can see it. There's like a knock-on effect in wrestling. It's like before Dynamite, post Dynamite. You can see it, right?
Yeah, that's one of the things. As I say, we just had Stephen Bell on, who told us so much about both Dynamite and Davey. It was just incredible, and he was so knowledgeable on so many different subjects. But yeah, we highlighted the Tiger Mask, and that changed the guard.
Yeah, right. Like, I'll go and watch the episode, but I mean, is there any like particular thing that he mentioned about Dynamite that you thought stood out to you?
For me, it was about his youth in Wigan, when they were talking about that, and growing up and doing the training at the Snake Pit.
Hard, right? It was hard.
Oh yeah.
And and then moving on to Canada Stampede, that was something I hadn't previously known. I'd known about his Japan. I'd known he'd worked for Calgary Stampede, but not for as much as he had done.
Mm.
So have you seen the tapes of him and Brett in Stampede? And so
I have.
Yeah, great, fantastic. Again, like, good stuff.
The speed they go through things is just phenomenal.
Yeah. I always like to watch. I always watch a lot of old tape around the world, different time zones, like time periods, and there's always lots to pick from. It's and that's a period and a time that is good to pick from as well. So moving on with the Rushton, we'll go two modern, and the next one I'll say is someone I mentioned earlier, which is Rockstar Spud, Jake Maverick, James Curtin, as he's called now. Well, it's his real name, but yeah, him. I mentioned before, I trained under Barry Sheralumvas, who ran SAS, and he also trained Spud. And I was helping out at these shows and a young trainee at the time, and Spud was the best wrestler in the country, in my opinion, at that time, and he was miles ahead of anyone else because of the training that Barry, passed on to him, the knowledge that Barry passed on to him. And yeah, he was fantastic, man. He was, and he still is. I mean, like, everything he's ever, the thing is like, he was at this other level, in my opinion, above everyone else in the country at that time. It's easy to look at that now and be like, oh, that's cool, whatever. But like, for everyone to be a certain level and for you to be push above that and lead the pack, like, is something special. On top of that, to be the height that he is and do that is incredible. To then take that and go beyond the shores of this country, to go over and break America and be in TNA when that wasn't really happening before at this time. Again, revolution. And he didn't just do it, he conquered it. He owned a lot of those TV shows. He was the most important guy on the TNA show. He was the guy stealing he was the main thing you wanted to watch, not just because I knew him and was a fan or whatever, and got to train with him, but like, because the crowd was there for it. Him and EC3, him and Matt Hardy. He stole this stuff. I had this story about him I wasn't at the show, but they did a show. It was in the UK, so it was, but I think like Kurt Angle and Sting and someone else are in the ring and Spud, and the whole building is just chanting for Spud. The whole, I think it's Wembley Arena, all chanting for Spud. He is that good. And when he went to WWE, they gave him a managerial role. He smashed it. They gave him the 24/7 role, comedy relief thing. He smashed it. They fired him, and he turned that into such a strong thing that ended up in him getting rehired. And he gets fired again, and he comes back with phenomenal content. To be that level of a professional, and as a professional in any industry, and in this industry, and at his height, and all the rest of it, the guy is an absolute legend.
No, fair play.
I definitely agree with that. No, not at all.
Go for it.
I've really loved his work in TNA. I thought it was absolutely great. And when he finally got the match against EC3, I was just, oh God, it was fantastic.
That's what wrestling's about.
Yeah, he helped pave the way for the next lot of British guys, because he was on the original, what was it, British Boot Camp, and then he pushed for British Boot Camp to be bigger the next year, and there were so many, I think there were about 12 different talents the next time around.
Yeah, I think it was Mark Andrews and that on the next one.
Yeah.
So there you go. This is what the business is about. It's not just about getting your stuff in and getting yourself over. It's about improving business for everyone and opening doors and opportunities for everyone, and being on a show and in a segment and making everyone look good, So yeah, he is definitely for me on that mountain. And the next one, I'll say another modern one, a guy who I met as a kid when I was a kid wrestling in this industry. He started off underneath a tiger mask. He was called the Tiger Kid, and we wrestled a couple of times in when we were younger. I went away from the business because things that happened in my life and other opportunities that come up. But like a young Nino Bryan, he was focused to it. He didn't get distracted by the drink and the drugs and the ladies and all the rest of it. He was true to it, and he stuck to it, and the scene wasn't good at the time, but what this man did is make the scene something. And I'm talking about Pete Dunne. He was, he's a couple of years younger than me, and he had it, and the scene was not great at this point. And I believe, yes, with a group of friends, but he really was the driving force in a lot of ways in starting Attack and bringing about British strong style, this indie style, into the UK, which led, you could say in many ways, like that, starting Attack Pro Wrestling and the shows that they're putting on there created the whole burst again of indie wrestling in the United Kingdom, which then led to Progress starting and doing what they did, which then led to NXT UK and all these things. And this is, you don't realize sometimes the little things you do and the hard work you do and the snowball effect it has. So again, for that reason, not just about how good you are in the ring, bell to bell, but what you do for the business. I think Pete Dunne has to be there. Phenomenally
gifted individual, and probably quite a driving force in bringing back the Heritage Cup, because he was working as a producer at the time when NXT UK restarted. So I wonder if I have to find out how big a role he actually played in introducing that.
Well, I don't know how much he had. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go on.
I don't know about that. I think he was already in the States doing the NXT in America at that point. But I bet you he would love to do a Heritage Rounds match. I guarantee it. And I would love to see it, because he is just firing on all cylinders right now. He's one of the best wrestlers in the world.
Who would you choose to put him against in that round, other than yourself? Because obviously that is just the match that everybody wants to see. but you need to hold that one back. Who would you let them see first?
And as you say, because of that timeline that I have with him in any kind of a match, there's such a great storyline there, real life storyline there, to have with a match between myself and Pete down the line. And that is one of my bucket list ones I would absolutely love to do. But to your question, well, him and Tyler have had, incredible matches throughout history. So I'm not going to do that because of that reason. And I think, yeah, A-Kid has had fantastic showings all throughout this time period, and his game is just rose. Like I think that would be a great match to see. Yeah,
nice.
Awesome. What about you, Dan? Then who would you like to see? Pete Dunne versus?
I would like to see Pete Dunne versus Daz Black. Daz Black's one of my favourites at the moment.
Nice.
In ICW, I think he's just doing amazing work, and I think that his style and Pete would mesh really, really well. And I think Pete would probably eat him alive, but I would really enjoy seeing that.
What about you, man?
Chris Ridgway, come on. The most brutal and violent rounds match ever would be Pete Dunne versus Chris Ridgway. They would just lump each other and talk each other and stretch, and just I think that would be an amazing match to see.
I want War Games Northwest Strong.
My money there.
Yeah, I want a War Games match of Northwest Strong versus British Strong Style.
Yes, I like this this fantasy British book, and this is some good stuff. Someone put together a super card. Who's got the money?
Yes, fund it. Yeah, just check out a few of our back episodes. We put together a few different super cards.
Okay.
Someone in Britain who is putting together some amazing cards at the moment is Gary Ward with Wrestle Carnival. He's putting on some amazing matches and some different bits. We've got the upcoming Carnival of Champions in January, which is going to be phenomenal. Are there any particular companies that you are looking to work with or would like to work with in upcoming 2022?
I had a whole year of dates with Gary, but for some reason they have not come to fruition. I think plans have changed for what he had originally. He had a particular feud in mind for me, and so that has changed. But yeah, that would be a good one, especially did something with ROH recently. I know that's kind of all changed now, but he makes interesting choices, does Gary. He had that Hangman and Pac match when he was doing the Wrestle Gate, right?
Yeah.
It's like he just kind of gets his fingers in these pies and pulls out some magic sometimes. And I've shot photos with him, but I don't think I've actually wrestled for him. So, and obviously I had that stuff and it fell through. So I would love to do that. I'd love to do that. TNT, I've been speaking to them. I'd love to get up there. I've been at their show in the past, and their production is great, and the wrestlers they book are great. This is something, yeah. There is many of them. The main thing is getting to the main thing is wrestling as many places and as many great talents as possible. We are at a point where there are so many great wrestlers in the UK right now, and not only that, but I mean across Europe things are rising, man. I'm in talks with a couple of Italian promotions. I intend to wrestle out there next year, and there's some stuff in Spain, and there's some stuff in Hungary, and many other countries as well. I am excited for the future of European professional wrestling on the indies, and I have a couple of things in mind of how I would like to approach that, which we will see. I will not lay it out to you now, but we will see it unfold over time. If you follow me on the socials, Tate Mayfairs, and on the YouTube, Tate Mayfairs, you will see it unfold, and I'm excited to share it with you over time.
Okay, quickly, one question then. one dream UK opponent, one dream European opponent, one dream American opponent. Go for it.
Oh God. So where does Pete fit on that? Is he a UK opponent or is he a US opponent?
He's a UK opponent.
Let's do me and Pete in the Royal Albert Hall.
Nice.
Love it.
That is a venue I would love to. I saw the first NXT one there, and it's such a awesome venue. I'd love to wrestle there. So me and Pete at Royal Albert, Europe. I think WXW are putting out the best stuff in Europe from what I can see. They're doing some fantastic stuff there. Kara's doing some great work out there. I love the production and the style that they have there, you know, the way that they put the whole package together. That's the kind of wrestling I like. I mean, I called out Water earlier. Him and Ilya are doing great stuff. Yeah, so I'll take Water. I'm taking all the big boys. I'll take Water, and I'll beat him in the middle of Germany. Now, truly, I would love to do that. I do love wrestling big guys as well. So this is the main thing. It's very enjoyable to chop down a big guy. They move slow. They hit hard, but they move slow, and you can get around them and chop them down. And there's nothing I love more. I've always loved it. In real life and in professional wrestling, is to chop down a big man. And as far as the United States, Cody Rhodes.
Yeah.
Interesting choice.
I feel like he has. There's loads of great wrestlers over in AEW. There's Daniel Bryan. There's so many. I'm gonna go with the original, right? Because I could have said Darby Allin. I could have said all these other people as well, you know. But I will go with Cody because I just feel like he's had so many incredible matches, like standout matches. There's action-filled matches, but then there's matches that just sit on a different level, and I feel like his one with his brother, his ones with Darby, his ones with Brody Lee, his ones with Malachi Black have really like popped for me. And of course he's the son of Dusty. He's got a hell of a promo on him and all these things. I would love to work with him as well.
Nice.
One last question is, what are your passion outside of wrestling? Because we're big geeks ourselves. Is there any type of geeky passion?
Geeky passions. No, I love old history. I'm big into my ancient civilizations, the Peruvians, the Persian Empire, things like this. Alexander the Great is one of my biggest inspirations. And truthfully, I think, man, it's so cool if you ever get the time to look at the timeline and the journey that man went on. It is phenomenal. Talk about like the stuff that Spud and Pete have done, and now I talked at great length putting them over, but now I'm going to bury them by saying it ain't shit compared to Alexander the Great. Fuck. Sorry, it's sort of swearing, but man. Yeah, so I'm into that.
Great leader.
Sorry?
Great leader. Inspired Napoleon, didn't he?
He inspired Tateness's greatness. Tate the Great. Alexander the Great, the OG, mate, he is phenomenal. Him, obviously, I love my combat sports, the boxing and MMA. I'm quite into my spiritualism. I like to say it like that. But yeah, I like meditation and things like this. I in my time off of wrestling, I spent 3 months traveling around India, and I've spent lots of time in that sort of space. Which you may not see with the jewelry and the rest of it, but it is something that is quite true to me and something that interests me and I care a lot about. And which you may not have thought of. And you mentioned nerdy things. I'm big into Star Wars, and I've recently, during lockdown, got into Star Trek Discovery. In terms of nerdy culture, that did get me, I will say.
And you're a musician.
I am, yes. Yeah. Singer, bass, guitar. Yeah, I've been in quite a few bands and done some touring. Early on, it was like, angry rock music, but inspiring still. And then later, it was quite a fusion of like psychedelic rock, dub, reggae. Yeah.
Oh, you'd have enjoyed the gig I was at last week. I went to see Hayseed Dixie.
I remember old Hayseed. Yeah, I used to we used to listen to that a lot. They had obviously they started off with all the AC/DC covers, and then they did like a load of different classic rock. Phenomenal. Yeah. And then they did one of their own, which I really liked as well. I'm trying to remember the name of it now. They had a couple of their own as well.
They've just released a new album with quite a few of their own things. Some very funny, unfortunately can't repeat on podcasts ones as well. Yes, well worth a listen, the new album.
Oh, mate. So where did you see them?
Cambridge Junction.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've just been touring all over the UK because they used to live in the UK. They live in Germany now.
Really?
Yeah, they left with Brexit.
Ah, damn it. Another great one lost. Damn. But yeah, mate, what a callback. Me and my mate Dan, who are actually in the last band that I mentioned, a really different sounding band. Yeah, we used to listen to that all the time. Yeah, good stuff. Corn Liquor, that was the one.
Yes. Yeah, they played that. That went down very well.
Oh, good stuff, mate. I tell you what, if you're into that kind of a music, I will send you some links to my band.
I would appreciate that. Thank you.
I'm all about Korean hip hop at the moment, so all this goes right over my head. Yeah.
I have yet to get into it. The closest I've come, no, it's not even close, is it? I love Jushin Thunder Liger's entrance theme. Yeah,
J-Rock, yeah, of course, why not?
Yeah, I can rock that anytime. That might be that was it. Other geeky things, I'm not sure. Have you seen that new film Dune?
Not seen it yet. I've read the book years ago.
It's very good. And also there's a program out on Netflix, which is another one. I always get into the things that are movies, and then someone else comes and tells me like, oh, that was an anime before. That was okay. I don't know. But Cowboy Bebop on Netflix. You mentioned it recently in the tweet,
absolutely
right?
loving it. And yeah, I watched the original anime back in the day, and I still like this. I have no idea. There's so many people moaning about it online. It's a good show.
I love it, man. It's
great.
Like it's so up my street. It's like some of it is such a mesh of like cool things, right? Like some of it is like Western cowboy stuff. Some of it's like samurai stuff. Some of it's like New York, like cops and gangsters, and then it's all in space. And it's the perfect blend. And then on top of that, you've got this fantastic jazz soundtrack. Mate, I'm gonna watch some after this. It's good. It's good.
The original anime is slightly different, but I saw nothing wrong with the changes made. I think if you try to adapt an anime directly, it won't work because it'll be silly. And I think this one worked really, really well. And I see a lot of the fandom kicking off, and I'm just like, you're weird, you need to get a life.
There's some that you will never please, with the Star Wars, for example. Like some people, they just can never get over any new film. They're like, I hate it. But I dare you to objectively, I don't know if I'm ruffling any feathers here, boys. but I dare you to objectively watch any of the new Star Wars films and then watch one of the originals and tell me that it is actually a better film. The films get better every time. They're shot better. They're acted better.
Ooh, now we might be able to start up a whole thing here because 2 weeks ago we interviewed Shreddy.
Yeah.
And he was saying about Star Wars fandom and about how absolutely awful and hateful he felt towards the more recent films. So there we go.
Well, let's have it out then.
Tired, ready to go. And of course, he's a big man.
Yeah. You know, I like chopping down big boys. You know what I mean?
Indeed.
Let's have it out. What a wrestling feud.
Come on, TNT, let's book it.
Disagreement about the recent Star Wars films. Mate, book it. What a great feud.
TNT Ignition. You heard him. Bring us Shreddy.
That's it. I'll take him down.
Is there anything else you'd like to plug before?
Just, TateMayfairs.com, the t-shirts, the A4 gloss print signed photos. Keep an eye on my YouTube. That is growing, and it will be there'll be some developments there in the new year. And just enjoy it. And if you don't know, then get to know. And if you do know, then pass it on. Every knee will bend, every head will bow, and every tongue confess that Tateness is greatness.
Woo-hoo! Don't feed the trolls.